The 2-minute tick contract, well, the 2-minute chart contract was at 2,000. So we stayed above, for the most part, we stayed above 3,000, and sometimes in most cases on these breakouts, above 4,000 contracts per 2-minute per 2 minutes. So you see a lot of these flags, and continue to flag. This symmetrical triangle after touching 84, hitting the high of the day at 84.09, and then continuing to break down was the real kicker that really started this move lower. With the descending trend line and everything, and retesting 83 for the most part, almost retesting 83. Again, we had a triple bottom test. Very lucky that crude wasn't open for another 30 minutes, because in my own opinion, I think we would have seen 82.90 or 83 again. If we could have broken down even more, we may have even seen a retest of the 82.70 range, and who knows what kind of volume we could have seen then, whether we would have seen more accumulation over distribution, or more distribution over accumulation. But for the most part, 83.10 was held, and into the after hours session, it just sort of chopped around in between 83.30 and 83.10. And for the most part, the 2-minute would have helped off of the confirmations that we saw on the 233 tick, and we could have definitely made some buco bucks off of a lot of these crosses on the 5-day 10-minute, or the 5-minute 10-minute simple moving averages. A lot of these flags would have worked perfectly. It would have just been how much leverage you used, how many cars you bought, and what your risk tolerance was on any kind of pullback you would have seen. Moving to the 5-minute, again on the 5-minute we used the 34 EMA as a support and resistance indicator, and we also use the stochastic momentum index at a 3.8 spread. For the most part, we chopped around until we blew out the 34 EMA at 10:30 with the worse than expected crude oil inventory news. We made a low. We saw a lot of distribution come in off of that blowout there, and then we saw even more accumulation, or almost more accumulation over this time span, more accumulation. For the next breakout above the 34 EMA. We didn't see the 34 EMA after 10:45ish until about 1 o'clock, when we broke down again and then chopped around off of that triple bottom test. Not a lot of volume came in until the say final 15-20 minutes of market trading. This was a pretty dead period during this decline, until we saw that break in the 34 EMA, when more volume started coming in after NYC lunch was pretty much over. But for the most part, we saw a nice little bump and run here. We declined, snapped back up into that 83.65, 83.70 range, and then continued to snap lower to the 34 EMA. As you can see, a couple of the trades were really, really hit well on, if you can stomach these 5-minute charts. The stochastic momentum index moves very, very nicely and is a very good indicator to catch a couple of these moves and really, really nail them. In this case, we saw a cross here at that overbought area of 75, and we didn't see another cross. We threatened the cross here, and probably most intelligent people would have exited, because it was a minus 50, so it was just getting oversold. But if you had the balls to stay in it and you saw the retest, you could have definitely stayed in until this decline into 83.10 range. So you could have snagged perhaps almost a handle out of this move, if you caught it right at the top and drove it all the way to the triple bottom test. But if we take a look at the 60-minute or the 1-hour chart, you can see pretty much the same thing that we saw today. Not a lot going on, a lot of chop after that blowout to 84. That is the main resistance that we're going to be looking at over the next couple days if we continue to stay in this tightening ascending pennant that we're seeing here. The 34 EMA is definitely acting nicely and has been a great support, as well as this ascending trend line that we've been seeing on that pennant price pattern. If we get a breakdown below both of those, I think it's a lookout below, and we could see significant volume come in, perhaps the 81, but I'm not going to press my luck.